China today produces more than 3 times as much clean energy as the United States, about 2,900 terawatt-hours compared to only 965 in America. A country that until recently was called the world's top polluter has completely reversed the situation and become the true engine of the future. Meanwhile, the U.S. is still stuck on coal and oil, losing ground in the key industries of tomorrow. Even Elon Musk admitted he was shocked by how quickly America is falling behind. The scale of what is happening is immense. China is building giant battery plants, erecting solar farms stretching for miles, and financing renewable energy projects in Asia, Africa, and Latin America. This is not only domestic development, it is global expansion based on clean energy. In the US, the picture is completely different. Under Trump, subsidies for renewables were cut, climate programs shut down, and wind and solar farms were dismissed as the scam of the century. Instead of preparing the country for the future, authorities doubled down on oil and coal, moving further away from the sectors already reshaping global markets. And all this is happening during one of the weakest years for the dollar. The Federal Reserve is preparing another rate cut in September, which will put even more pressure on the American currency. So let us break down how China managed to surge so far ahead, why Trump's policies are dragging the US backward, and what this shift means for the global economy. Let us start with the United States. Under Donald Trump, clean energy was not just forgotten, it was openly ridiculed. He repeatedly called wind turbines and solar panels a scam of the century, blaming them for rising electricity costs. His administration slashed subsidies, cut research funding, and introduced new barriers to green energy projects. Years of progress that could have kept the US in the race for leadership were wiped out almost overnight. The gap between promises and reality is especially striking. Trump promised that expanding oil production, weakening environmental rules, and supporting coal plants would ensure cheap, affordable energy. But the opposite happened. Electricity prices went up, and families received higher bills than ever before. The energy system remains vulnerable to swings in oil and gas prices. This weakness collides with a new challenge. Demand for electricity is growing faster than at any time in recent decades. In the past, the main consumers were households, factories, and cars. Today, artificial intelligence and cloud computing are leading the way. Data centers are springing up across the country, and each one consumes as much energy as a small city. But instead of preparing for this surge with a modern clean energy strategy, America is once again betting on fossil fuels, leaving its power grid overloaded and its future uncertain. Meanwhile, as the US stalls, China is expanding renewables at a pace that cannot be ignored. The country has built solar farms visible even from space. In the Tengger Desert, a park covering more than 40 square kilometers supplies electricity to about 600,000 homes. At the Longyangxia Dam, solar panels work together with a hydroelectric plant in one of the world's most advanced hybrid systems. And Beijing is not stopping there. Right now, the world's largest solar power plant is being built on the Tibetan Plateau. Its area is comparable to the city of Chicago, about 235 square miles, and it will be equipped with more than 7 million panels. Once launched, it will generate enough electricity to power 5 million households. But it is not only the scale that matters, it is also the environmental effect. The panels reduce wind strength and limit dust storms. They retain moisture, which helps restore grasslands turning into desert. Sheep graze under the panels, and the land provides both energy and food at the same time. This is not just clean electricity, but a fusion of ecology and economy. The speed is equally impressive. In just the first half of this year alone, China added more than 198 gigawatts of solar capacity and another 46 gigawatts of wind power. This is more than some countries have managed to build in their entire history, and China did it in just a few months. For the first time in years, the country's carbon emissions declined even as its economy continued to grow. Compare that with the United States. America has not launched anything remotely comparable for decades. Its largest solar farms are far smaller, and new projects often get stuck in courts, politics, or lose government support altogether. Under Trump, entire programs were dismantled, subsidies disappeared, and research budgets were wiped out. Investors, hearing him dismiss renewables as a scam, simply refused to put money into the sector. While China unveils one record-breaking project after another, the US struggles to manage small-scale upgrades, and the gap keeps widening. In China, renewable energy is a national priority. Long-term plans are carried out regardless of politics. In America, the energy course shifts every election cycle, making sustained progress nearly impossible. The result is obvious. One country is moving steadily forward, the other is standing still. The solar farm on the Tibetan Plateau is more than just a power plant. It is proof of what can be achieved when resources, technology, and political will are aligned, and it highlights just how far the United States has already fallen behind. While American families face ever higher bills and the power grid strains under the load of data centers, China is locking in clean energy that will fuel its economy for decades to come. And the country is not stopping with solar panels and wind turbines. In Hebei province, construction has been completed on the world's largest pumped storage hydropower plant, capable of supplying all of Beijing during peak demand hours. On top of that, China is rolling out large-scale industrial battery projects that release stored electricity during surges in consumption. In the US, energy storage is still limited to a handful of pilot projects, another casualty of budget cuts and policy reversals under Trump. Transportation tells another side of the story. China has become the largest electric vehicle market in the world. In 2024 alone, more than 9 million EVs were sold there. In 1 month, the country even surpassed the milestone of 1 million sales, a record with no parallel anywhere else. To make that possible, China installed more than 2.5 million charging stations, creating a network that far surpasses anything in existence elsewhere. The contrast with the United States is striking. EV sales there remain sluggish, charging infrastructure is poorly developed, and under Trump, there was virtually no federal support. He repeatedly called electric cars impractical, leaving the market to develop with little help from the state. Meanwhile, Chinese automakers like BYD not only dominate domestically, but are aggressively expanding abroad, growing their market share and setting new standards for the global auto industry. And this is where Elon Musk comes in. His entire vision has always been built on sustainable energy. Solar panels through Solar City, Tesla's industrial-scale megapack batteries, and electric cars powered by clean energy. For Musk, renewables are not a side project but the foundation of his empire. Without cheap, abundant clean power, Tesla's growth slows, SpaceX's costs rise, and his new venture xAI runs up against limits in computing capacity. But the problem is that while Musk is betting on a green future, American policy under Trump is moving in the opposite direction. Subsidies for renewable energy have been cut, incentives for battery and solar projects removed, and the power grid remains tied to volatile oil and gas prices. Musk has found himself trapped between a vision of the future and the reality of a country stubbornly clinging to the past. But the issue goes far beyond cars or household electricity bills. What's at stake is global competitiveness. Artificial intelligence is becoming the new arena of the power struggle. The leader in this field will set the pace of the world economy, shape the future of key industries, and gain enormous political leverage. But there's one condition. AI requires colossal amounts of energy. Without accessible, scalable, and cheap clean electricity, winning this race is impossible. China understands this perfectly. Alongside massive investments in AI, it is building energy projects capable of powering entire regions. Solar, wind, and hydro plants are directly connected to data centers and research hubs where models are trained. The United States, meanwhile, because of Trump's policies, is locked into expensive fossil fuel sources. That means American AI companies face higher bills, slower growth, and the risk of falling behind just as competition is accelerating. The danger is clear. Trump's energy strategy reflects the priorities of the last century, while the rest of the world has already entered the new one. In the industries that will define the future, cloud services, advanced manufacturing, artificial intelligence, the advantage will belong to whoever secures the cheapest and most reliable clean energy. And right now, that advantage lies with China. If the US continues to reject renewables and support for clean technologies is slashed, the issue won't just be about falling behind in energy. What's at stake is leadership in artificial intelligence itself. And in the 21st century, losing leadership in AI means losing influence in global politics. That's exactly why more and more countries are turning to China. Across Africa, South America, and Asia, governments are buying Chinese solar panels, installing turbines, and even importing entire fleets of electric vehicles. China isn't just selling equipment, it is financing power plants, building transmission lines, and exporting its standards abroad. And here's the irony. While Trump ridicules renewables from the podium and rails against China, America is still dependent on them. In other words, while Washington loudly declares its break from Chinese influence, American consumers keep pouring money straight into the very supply chains Trump claims he is fighting. Every new panel arriving in the U.S. only strengthens China's role in the global energy transition, while the American government clings stubbornly to coal and oil. The U.S. is already losing the race in clean energy. Every decision under Trump, whether in energy, trade, or finance, carries its price. The question is no longer whether there will be consequences, but how much worse they'll get if this policy continues. So make sure to subscribe to the channel to stay up to date on the global events that are reshaping our world. See you in the next episode.